Hi everybody, this is B, and today I'm going to give you a little presentation about the healing secrets of the Dark Goddess. I am a priestess of Cerridwen and a priestess here in Avalon with the Glastonbury Goddess Temple, and I am a teacher of the Priestess of Cerridwen course, and now more recently I have started a course called the Dark Goddess Healing, or the Healing Secrets of the Dark Goddess. And this was a course that I've been working on for years. And during COVID, it was actually coming very clear that this was very needed in the world. And I wanted to make sure that it is out there, that it is out there at this time. Because, believe it or not, we women are not as liberated, as free as we wish to believe we are. I started working with the 5 goddesses that we have on this course here in 2010. I had a bit of a tough time. I'll tell you a little bit about that so that you know that sometimes the initiation can be very painful. First of all, I had a mammogram and I was told that I had some enlarged nodes under my arm, and when they were tested, there was a possibility that it could be lymphoma, something that has been in my family and has killed quite a few people in my family. Thankfully, it wasn't. It was a precursor, but that sword of Damocles rides over my head for the last 12 years. And it forces you to see your own mortality. And it makes you realize that every day that you live is precious. That you can't just slop around and hang around and, binge watch things. You can, but not on a regular basis. There is so much life to be lived. There's so much presence to be had out there in the world. So I went away and I took 6 weeks until we got the results. And I looked at my life and I realized that I needed more help. I turned to Cerridwen, my tutelary goddess, since 2003, and I believe that she would help me through this time, no matter what it brought. But I turned to her and I said, Cerridwen, what are we going to do? And I never forget the dream I had the following night. The dream was she standing in a circle with 4 other women, 4 other goddesses. And it was fantastic. They were all shrouded in darkness, and she was the only one illuminated. And she said, I called in the cavalry. I called in the Dark Goddess Sisterhood. And these are the ones that are closest to you, that want to help you. These are the ones that want to be with you in this, going through this time. And as the lights changed, from her, my beloved goddess, onto the next goddess, the only thing I saw was this naked woman with huge, long, black curls. They were like snakes going all around her. And she was unashamed in her nakedness. She had nothing to be ashamed of, I will say. She was very gorgeous. And I remember a little bit of shock when out of the back of her hair slithered a massive snake, down across her breasts, all around her hips, down through, past her sex, down her legs, slithered up and came towards me. And there was this place in me that was frozen to the floor. I wasn't sure what was going to go on. I wasn't sure if I was safe, but I have trust. I trust the goddess. And so I stood my ground as this snake came, and she slithered up my legs, over my sex, around my hips, across my breasts, and into my hair. And then she moved through my psychic gateway into my head. And it was almost like she curled up in there and she stayed. And all the fear that I had felt, all the thoughts that I had felt, that I had thought about dying, about not being here for my children, they simply vanished. And the goddess stood there, hands on hips, and she said, "Works, doesn't it? She's great. I love her. Would you like to keep her?" And I sort of said, "Well, yes, please, if I may." And it was amazing. She said, "Yes, of course. I've got more," she said. So this was my introduction to Lilith. And Lilith, I wrote a whole big piece about Lilith. I have it here next to me, and I was going to read it to you. And then, as I was starting to make this video, I realized I know who she is. I don't need to go into all the history, all the stories about her. The picture you see here in front of you was in the British Museum. It was a wonderful exhibition recently that was talking about all the goddesses. It was an exhibition about the goddesses that had been worshipped in, during the time of human beings in the world. But there was also a small little section where it said that the goddess-loving women had returned and that they were growing strong. And there were a couple of goddess-loving women that I know, priestesses that I know, that had been asked to comment. And I love that. The statue here was on the wall, and she was climbing up the wall, looking back at you. And when I first brought this poster out, people wrote to me and said, "I don't think you should have her on your poster. She's too scary. She looks like she's been burned." And I thought to myself, but don't you understand? That's the whole point. We have all been burned. Every woman has stood sometime, somewhere, at the stake and been burned. And often it has been through the deeds of other women, the betrayal of other women. And that is one of the first things that we wish to heal. Lilith, first wife of Adam in the Bible, who would not subject herself, who would not submit to him, who would not submit to the male and make him lie on top of her, and rather left and was alone than compromise herself. And that is the lesson that Lilith, one of the lessons that Lilith gives us. You're better off alone than compromise your values. And I wish a lot of people would make that their mantra every day, because there are too many women who compromise their value. Lilith stood, looked me up and down, and she said to me, "You just don't look at yourself, do you? You just don't see who you are. You have still allowed people to identify you, to label you, to give you an idea who you are, of your value. You need to stop that. You're making yourselves ill. You're trying to bend yourself into a pretzel to be who other people wish you to be. You need to look at me within you." The spotlight then went to the next goddess, Hecate. Hecate and I had a journey together. I was her devotee for some years before Cerridwen took over, before Hecate in a dream took my hand and said, "Thank you very much for your service, but now it's time for you to meet your true life companion, your heart companion, your soul mated deity." If you think that there's no such thing, that you can be, in devotion to all of them, that's okay. But it's a little bit like polyamory. It doesn't really work. You will always love one more than all the others. And they're okay with that because there are people that love them more than the one that you love. So Hecate stood there. And as she was revealed through this divine spotlight coming from I don't know where, there she was, two great big dogs at her side, her torches in her hand. She had a Grecian style robe on, dress on. She was youthful, where she can sometimes be ancient. Hecate Triformis, maiden mother goddess. Actually, not always like that, but that we will discuss in the course. Cerridwen asked her to speak to me, to remind me that I was once her, that she was once mine, that we worked together, and that she was the torchbearer, that she was the truth speaker. And she spoke the truth to me that day. She said, there is every chance that you will die now, but there's also every chance that you will live a good life, achieve things. You have to cross the threshold and leave behind your fear places. Dying in fear is the most horrific death. You must be brave. You need to live on as if nothing is wrong. And you need to live as if every day is the last day. Here are my torches. There is the labyrinthine path. Walk it to the end. And then, in the center, find yourself. Find who you truly are. And be proud of that. Yes, sometimes when you speak the truth, those around you will not like you. You will not feel safe to them because you won't be a yes person. You will be the one pointing the finger and saying, what you're doing there is wrong. I did that when Persephone was taken by Hades into the other world, into the underworld. I was the truth speaker, and my people denounced me just as much as they denounced Lilith. But I didn't care. I have standards. I'm a truth speaker. And look where it got me. Those who really matter, they saw me, they appreciated me, and they loved me. She passed me one of her torches, and I held it gingerly. I wanted to be sure it wouldn't burn me, but the fire in the torch came into my third eye, illuminated my space of knowing, of seeing, of being present. I loved that feeling. And then the light went to the next goddess. And immediately when the light fell onto her radiant brow, I saw the sickle moon. I saw the mark of the priestess of Avalon, of the goddess of Avalon, Morgana. I had no work with her before, and yet she'd come forward to help me heal, to see what I needed to see. Again, that theme of betrayal, that topic of betrayal by her own people. She, the sovereign of the land of Avalon, betrayed by the beloved, the one that turns away, the fickle, the one that could not be trusted. She looked me straight in the eye, and she said to me, people will betray you because they're afraid. They don't like change. They like the status quo. They like to believe that they know what will be, what can happen. You now face that truth that we don't know, that we never know what will happen next in our lives. I love my son, and they have vilified him. They tell him he is the betrayer. He is the killer of Arthur the Great. But how great was Arthur really when the land needed him? Yes, he was married to me, but I was just the sovereign, the embodiment of the land. He did not just betray me, he betrayed his land and the people on it. And yet when he died, I received him. I brought him back to Avalon, where he lays now, sleeping. And no, there's probably not a chance that he will once awaken again, unless he has found his way to his true self. But for now, I will keep him safe, and I have the hope of the land of Albion in my keeping. You live on my land. You were rooted in Avalon. I am here for you. Draw on my strength. Feel how I had to fight, how I had to fight tooth and claw for my land to be returned to me. And here you are, priestesses, beloveds. Now I want to remind you that at the time, I was not in Avalon. In fact, Glastonbury in 2010 was not really on my radar. And this is what she said. You will come to my land. You will come to me and be with me, and I will do for you what I did for Arthur and all the people after him. I will heal you. I will bathe your brow. I will remove all darkness. I will hold you in my arms. You will lie on my body like my beloved child. And that was her promise to me, if I made a promise to her. And my promise was to travel to Avalon, to go on a pilgrimage, and to see what would unfold there. And as I was standing there, I thought the light would go back to Cerridwen and her message to me. But I felt a movement. I felt a presence right next to me. And as I turned my head a little and shone the torch, there she stood, a figure completely veiled in black. A presence that I had never felt before. She wasn't hostile, but she was firm. She wasn't scary, but she was not soft and gentle either. I had never felt that kind of vibration, that kind of power, and she was standing right next to me, and I could feel my whole body vibrate. It was like she was shaking loose things I hadn't realized were within me, festering, stagnating, obstacles, obstructions, wrong thinking, small thinking. So there I was, standing by this woman. And then she lifted the veil, and I beheld a face that I had never seen before, not even in my dreams. I had no idea who this person was, who this being was. But I could feel her power. Beneath her veil, great black wings came out. She was huge, black at the night. But every now and then, on those wings, there was a flimmer, a glitter of white bright light, like diamonds strewn across black velvet. And very gently she moved those wings, and they began to surround me, to lift me, to hold me. My name, she said, is Nephthys. You do not know me yet, but you will. I am she who takes you through the veil. I am she who will take you to where you need to go. My goddess, the energy that came from her. I am still learning. I'm still sitting by her feet, and every now and then I get a glimpse of who she is and what she can do for me and what I can do for her. But she is the center. To me, I thought that would be Cerridwen. But in this journey, it was her. They are all equal, equally valued, but they all have their own lesson to teach us. And I am really grateful for their journey with me. Cerridwen stepped towards me, right up to my face, as she does, that wild, curly hair all around her. And she smiled at me. "Now," she said, "how do you feel now? What do you think? Do you like your cavalry? Do you like these women? Did I ask the right people to help you?" I was so grateful. And I will say, the 6 weeks until I got my results, I got my house in order. I made sure the people that I loved knew that I loved them. Facing death, being alone in that journey, because you are. Nobody can walk that with you. It was bearable, knowing that I had the Dark Goddess Sisterhood right next to me. And they helped me heal so much. I realized that in the end, it matters not to hold on to resentments that are irrelevant when you come to the end of your life. I had such a gift facing all of that, facing that dark mirror and seeing the damage I had done, the hurt that I had given to people, some of the not so kind things that I had done. So I asked them to allow me to walk on with them once everything had been sorted. Once I realized I wasn't dying. And the message was always this: but you did die. You did die to yourself, to the old self. You did die in our arms. We did take you onwards to the other world. You did cross that threshold. You came to the ford and you were washed down. All removed that wasn't necessary. Because now is the time to be reborn, to come onto what is next for you. I had no idea what journey was going to come, but all I will say to you is being reborn into the Dark Goddess Sisterhood gave me the best life that I have ever had. And I am grateful for that. And I am grateful for the presence of these wonderful women to me, the divine feminine, she who will be obeyed, she who is doing everything in our best interest, she and they who wish to live, for us to live our best life. So thank you for listening. And if you are interested in coming to work with the Dark Goddesses, I'm here. Contact me, let me know. Don't necessarily have to go on a course, but if you're interested in how to make the first step to work with any of these amazing goddesses, please let me know. Blessed be.